Perfect.
So today we're going to cover some smart lean BIM, specifically in the education space. We are truly excited that launching this program a few months ago with a select number of universities has been really successful, and we've already got a case study that Victor will share with us and talk more about how their university has employed LOD Planner and helped the students to get more than just a 3D knowledge, really truly understand what BIM can do when they get into the workplace using on some live projects. So really excited about sharing more about that. The agenda that we're going to go through today, first of all, some of you people on the line haven't actually seen the product, so we're going to do a very, very brief introduction there. Then we'll talk about how you can get on the education program. We'll have an interview, and this is the main body of today. We'll have an interview with Victor. We'll find out more about Victor, what he loves about BIM, how he actually puts BIM into practice in his work, and then also this case study about what they're doing at the university, how they're getting the students involved, and how they're really differentiating themselves as a university and the students as a higher quality student as they come out and they are in more demand in the workforce. We'll also have Louis here answering questions. So tap your questions into the Q&A, and Louis will also answer them as we go. We believe in this concept of smart lean BIM, and smart lean BIM is the right BIM at the right time by the right people for the right reasons. Because if we don't, then we've got a lot of waste in our workflow. And if we look at the huge promise that we have in the world about using BIM and putting BIM into practice, there's significant design, construction, and operations savings. But if we don't plan for it, then we can get ourselves a bit of a challenging situation and not knowing which BIM we need. There's always a good BIM for the right use. So defining the use up front, planning for that, and then carrying it out is incredibly important. We saw a big gap in the market and said, hey, what about the planning tools in relation to BIM? Let's not use the disconnected Word, Excel, PDF, etc. Let's put them into one single platform and make it connected, make it easier. So that's what we did. We created a BIM execution planning workflow and a collaborative visual scoping workflow, enabling teams to actually scope out what they need, and then a management platform to execute and make sure that you're carrying out those tasks, dragging and dropping completions. Also being able to print out your BIM execution plans as you go. We have demos of the software on the website, so if you would like to put this on your program for free, then just go and take a look and you can get a deeper dive. But really what it is about is introducing our education program, getting to know Victor, and really seeing how we can help universities around the world actually get a better starting point for a lot of the students as they go out into the workforce. If you're interested in the education program, please go to the lodplanner.com/partners and click the register button. There's a couple of questions about your course, and we'll get somebody with a bunch of free licenses and the content with the templates and all of the structure that will help your students and help you make BIM a lot more simple for people that are new to BIM. Let's turn it to Victor. Welcome, Victor. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to turn my sharing off, and now we can talk to Victor. So Victor, hi. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Clive. It's nice to meet you as well.
Maybe you could share with us a little bit about what BIM means for you and why you're so passionate about BIM.
Well, I need to start 22 years ago, where I just finished my school based on hand drafting tools. And after I finished that, I just learned also digital. And I found the concept of virtual model, and that was a fantastic experience. I was able then to understand the space of what I think. So I actually talk about walls, windows, doors, etc., instead of lines and circles. And that is the beginning. I just can't stop, love it. and develop my career around that concept.
So 20 years ago, you were working with lines, arcs, and circles, and then seeing elements and being able to actually understand objects. That was a big transition for you. And
that was a fantastic experience. I feel the excitement still after all these years, because in that moment, few people believe in that. You know, that sometimes you feel alone in that excitement. You know, it's like, yeah, but we are not yet there. We are to the world, and it's how we work. But I keep with the motivation, with this passion, and believe that should be the way that the world, in general, the AIC industry should go. And here we are, 20 years later, we are in that path.
And so you took that over the last 20 years, and you've been teaching and sharing that passion. Tell us more about that.
This passion made me leave my own country. And I first moved to the United States. I meet great people with a lot more of experience than what I have. I can mention one name is Bruce Cousins, who actually was my mentor. He taught me a lot. He guided me and helped me to improve the knowledge and get in the right path. So after that, I go around the world in few projects in different countries. And 6-7 years ago, I returned to the university, and it's where my professor career started, trying to somehow pass what I have learned around the world with the students. And was really an emotion seeing myself in the same university 20 years later, teaching now. Tell them that all what you need is passion, love, and dream.
Very, very cool. And so when you think about BIM and our AEC industry, what do you see as being the major changes, benefits, challenges?
I see a gap. That is my main concern when we start all the educational program, is the gap between what the industry understood about BIM, you know, what is the expectations that they have about BIM, and what the universities are teaching. Some universities, they are teaching use the clicks on the software.
Right.
And that is not what the industry are looking for. They actually look for professionals that understood the construction process and understood then how they can put a virtual model together with all these components and organize from the beginning. That is the motivation every day to think and improve and reduce the gap. So that is how we embrace the teaching of BIM at the university.
Your passion 20 years ago led you to start sharing back in the university that you were in, and you see this you said, where we have universities that are teaching, but they're essentially teaching the clicks and the product rather than why they are actually doing the click. Can you unpack that a little more?
Yeah. As an example, when we are in early classes where the students learn how to create a virtual model, we are not focused, you know, here is the wall, you make one click and then another click and the wall is there. We are actually teaching them what is the workflow of the architectural program and how you can use this as a tool to represent your thoughts, how you think about the project. And that is just an extension. So at the beginning, first year, we use hand-drawing tools. And the digitalization of what they are doing is after that. What we are tell them is, at the beginning, you use parallel, draw table, squares, pens. All what is changing now is the tool. You need to do the same thing. We want to see you at the end of the career as an architect, not as a good modeler.
Right.
And that is how we teach them constantly. It's not about the software. For instance, they show an elevation. We ask, okay, that is the elevation that the software make. Where is your elevation?
So you talk about how going from the hand drafting to then being able to use a tool to optimize, but not make it about the tool, make it about their thoughts and them being able to better express their thoughts in the tools as they get better and better. So that's an interesting thing. I think you're going to share a bit more about that when we learn more about the program.
Yeah, correct.
Just to close out, just to find out a bit more about you, what's been your greatest achievement? So in that time that you've been sharing your knowledge of BIM, what's been the biggest kind of highlight for you?
Sometimes, as I mentioned earlier, fight about what I believe. When I came to the university, it's not easy that the people believe in BIM or understood perfect what is BIM. And that is the big challenge to start with, tell the people and make them believers. So I think of myself as an evangelist of the BIM. And the big challenge at the university program has been first, move the administrative part, make them invest in what the BIM needs, 100% BIM focus, meaning that from 2 years ago, we don't teach in any class and we don't request from any student a 2D documentation. What we are doing now is challenging the professors talk about the project with the students with virtual reality, so they can walk through the project and ask them what is here, see the space, know what should be, the neighbor, you didn't respond to the context, etc., etc. But we are focused now 100% in the development of a project based on the creation of a virtual model.
What was that journey like? If I presume it wasn't just a switch that you turned from, we did 2D and now we do 3D. What did you have to do? How did you change that in your department or in the university? How did you?
Yeah, well, I identify first believers with other professors and start making a group with them, and then join force to make that it happens. Because it wasn't easy. Move the investment of the university, it takes time. What I see is like a 3 levels. When I go in front of the students and tell them, here's a new tool, and here's the concept, and this is how we can use, they just jump on and take days. The professors take, some months to believe and start move on. But the administration, the university level, the corporation level, it takes years to start moving. So you need to move in all this range of activities to be able to move the whole team together.
So you're sitting in one of the labs now?
Yeah, this is a lab that has 1.5 years. Okay, say hi to Clive, students.
And everyone else online. Maybe you can now share with us a little bit more about the program. I know you've got some slides that we can go through. So two parts that I'd love to hear. More about what the program is, and also if you could share some of the work that the students have done, that would be fantastic.
Okay.
Can you hit the share screen button?
Yeah, here we are.
Perfect.
So, of course, we are believers of SmartLeanBIM. We believe that we need to prepare professionals so they know what to do, when to do, and organize who should do all the BIM process in the professional career. And that is what we believe that is the right path for us to teach them from the management part of the BIM. There is some numbers of the architectural program at the university. It's a program that has 45 years. During that time, have 4,000 graduates. The curriculum is built around the concurrent concept. So every part of the curriculum is moving in a synchronized way. So if the architectural part changes, all the other parts, the urban part, the technical design part, the communication and means, all of those need to change. So here is the main classes we are teaching. That was the perfect match for make the BIM implementation as a connector of all these ideas. Here is the quick overview of the program. In the first core, we teach them only the basic concepts without any instrumental tool. So they don't use a computer during the first year. They use hand-drawn tools. So they learn the basics of architecture also. In the second core, talking about the context, they learn in terms of the BIM program how to create a virtual model and how that is integrated to the development of the process. I haven't mentioned that the university since 1995 is a RIBA certified university, and we use most of the phases that are proposed by the RIBA. And the tools that they use to do that workflow is Archicad or Revit. And in the third core, they teach how to control, how to do better, how to perform and improve. In the fourth core, they go to professional practice. And over there, they actually apply what they have learned about the creation of the virtual model. The final core is called project. Then we are teach them how to manage the project. And the tools that we are using is LOD Planner and Vico Office. So here is the plan for the project part.
And so when you say the project part, this is in the fifth year where people have already understood what, from an architecture perspective, 2D drawing and 3D modeling, and then going out into industry and being useful. They come back into the classroom, and this is their fifth year, and it's really management of a project. It's a real project, or it's a...
From the beginning, we are working with real problems, with real situations, and real clients. Then, in terms of LOD Planner, create a scope and understood how my model and will progress during the time. We are working at this moment, and I will show in a moment, 4 phases. One that is the concept, all the regulations for the construction industry, the architectural development, and the construction development. And that is how the scope in the LOD Planner help the students to visualize and have more organized workflow for their own project. And finally, we start doing the flow module. Who, how, when, and why the things needs to be done, and how I can control those processes. To summarize, LOD Planner at the end of the semester will allow them to present a BIM execution plan. They go through all this process and understood that that is what the BIM execution plan is all these steps in this order to be able to deliver a nice and neat project.
So in some months, you have them plan, understand who on the team is going to create what in scope. They go through the creation of the model. Then they actually, as they're creating the model, essentially managing that workflow, and they are creating a schedule as well inside of Vico from the model. So they understand what the BIM uses are. They're going to get quantities, so they need certain elements in the scope. And they're also going to drive the schedule, so they need certain elements with certain quantities to drive schedule. And that's a 16-week program on a real project, and they go through that whole workflow as a sort of a pre-construction team and a design team, design and pre-construction team. How many people and how is that structured?
We are creating groups of 3 students, each of them with one role, and so on. So we guide them, we give them the opportunity to organize from the beginning the creation of the virtual model. And that is the secret to be able to run smooth and fast during the rest of the process.
I love that. So you have a real project, you put a team of 3 students onto that project, and they have a manageable set of tasks. I love the idea of breaking it down and building the elements. They're building up what the quantity takeoff is going to be, when it's going to be taken off, what drives the estimating, what drives the scheduling, understanding when people are going to be responsible for doing certain things. So that whole workflow is actually possible in as you said, a 16-week period with a small amount of hours, because you manage the scope, but you manage it on a real project, and you have teams of 3 kind of tackling that. I love the real world likeness, having a team working on this challenge, making it a real project, but then because you're in an education setting, having to make sure that it's done within a certain time frame, not just saying go and do the whole thing with every single nut, bolt, and weld. You actually manage and they understand the workflow, therefore, and they can go from start to finish on that workflow for lots of different tasks, but not get bogged down, not get too much. I love the approach. Hopefully that helps other people listening online as well. Could you maybe share a little bit more about how the LOD Planner team has helped what you guys have been doing?
Yeah, I'm gonna jump over there.
That's great. So you're in the education version. I see the mortarboard on the O. So that's showing that you have an education account.
I'm appearing in every project, and I'm able to review, sign, and comment. So we have 3 students. All of them are managers, but each of them has a different role. That is how I track the work that each student made during the semester. They are filling the information taken from different standards. They decide which ones they like and make a translation and start writing in Spanish the content.
Something to share, Victor, sorry to jump in. We have a localization project, and we have partners around the world that are helping us to translate into different languages, standards, the classifications, the content, and the application. If anybody is looking for more localization and they would like to join that project, also let us know. More than happy to share that so that you can benefit from a more localized version of LOD Planner as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have doing some of these already. There are some examples. For example, the table of BIM use of that in Spanish. Here is the information of the project, a description, some drawings, and so on. Then in the scope part, development, the architectural development, and the construction development. Each of the members work and define what will be the level of the components. For instance, he said that the site works, they only will think of that in the development phase, and the construction development. And it will be developed until the definition, the 300. Then they go and understood, what is the components that we have and who's going to be responsible for that part. Some of them, like in foundations, they understood here, for example, that there will be no definition of reinforcement. Here is how this is responsibility of this student. See, so each of these has different parts.
And so I think we're losing connection.
Did you hear me?
I can now, yes.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm. And do the students pick it up quickly, or are there some problem areas? What do you find?
Yeah, well, I think it's both things. One is that the interface is very well designed. It's easy to understood and easy to know where the parts are. And the other one is, as I mentioned, the students are already digital mind. So for them, it's easy to understood and navigate very intuitive through the interface.
Right. right? I think we've had some good requests as well from some of the students. It's great.
Yes.
It's great to have feedback, and it's great to have feedback from people within the industry and people that are just starting. The idea is to make this application just so simple that it really requires no training to know how to use the tool. And it's more about, as you described earlier, why you're using it and what is important. And for this BIM use, what do we need? Rather than know the button in order to define it. How has this program helped to differentiate both your university but also the students now?
Yeah, it's one very important part of the process. We have a day shift. 35% of those students are moving from day shift to night shift because the companies are hire them to keep working with them, and that is indicator for us that we are doing the right thing.
So you're not just saying that they are more employable, you've got the result.
Well, no, I just want to mention that was a fantastic journey. Find the LOD Planner, and I embrace with passion and with the right motivation, and it's how we can deliver that and transfer this passion and the knowledge to the students. And I encourage them to go always beyond what we are teach them here, and tell them that wherever they go, wherever the dreams and the spirit of the adventure and the professional development put them, remember the roots and return and give back to others what they learn.
That's nice. So your journey over that 20-year period, going back to as we started, you said you had this passion for BIM. You help them to share their ideas using better tools and better ways of doing things. But I love the approach that you've taken, and we love being involved. Thank you so much for allowing us to learn from what you're doing as well. It's been a great experience for us as well. Thank you so much. Maybe if I just go back to my screen, and we can just share something to close, and then maybe some summary words from yourself as well, Victor. If you would like to get on the education program, this is how to do it. Just a reminder there, if you go to lodplanner.com/partners, and the partner page registering for the education in the center, we are open to all universities, all teams that would like to have this free opportunity to use the platform and mimic what Victor's doing, small teams, and giving them a real project that they can work through from beginning to end is a really very valuable lesson, and we've seen some more of that with Victor. The localization project is another one if you'd like to get involved. It's extremely exciting now to be able to have the application in different languages. If you're in a commercial situation, there's actually a free option now to get BIM execution plans online that you can get started. And that's on the website just by going to click the free button on the website. And Louis has been answering questions. If you've got any other questions, if you quickly type them in before we finish, I hope that Louis can either get to them now, or I've heard Louis kind of tap away.
Yeah, if I didn't get to you, we'll make sure to respond to any questions afterwards and send out the recording once we get this going.
There you go. So thank you so much, Victor. Any closing words, anything to just share or leave with other people that are starting this journey at the moment?
Well, just to summarize and make the students understood that the program are tools, but the human being is what is really important in all this process. You can be a good architect with hand drawing table or with the most advanced digital tool. So the important thing here is a process. Is the right thing in the right time, as we learn. And also, I'm very grateful that you and your team came out with this solution. I think every time that the people understood more and we have more professionals ready to work with, will make a lot of BIMers around the world more happy, and make them the life easier to when they use the solution that you have developed. And I'm very grateful for your work.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for those kind words. We'll continue to make this easier for everyone. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Great.
Take care. Bye, Victor.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.